I will leave the floor to Mr. Zarcone now so that he can elaborate more on the World Bank's view on what has been the economic impact of the pandemic, especially on people, and what are the main risks to the recovery for Bulgaria and the region, and prospects for further convergence with the EU. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Ortolani, and hello, everyone. Can you hear me well?
Yes.
Fantastic. Thanks. This has been a busy time for the bank. We are all, as financial institutions, international financial institutions, facing a horrible crisis generated by the COVID-19 pandemics. The latest estimates that we have that the global economy has sunk into the deepest recession in 8 decades. According to our latest numbers, the global economy will contract 5.2% this year. And this represents the deepest recession since World War II. The implications are immediate and clear. And the latest Poverty and Shared Prosperity report that we issued tells us few staggering numbers. More than 100 million people will be pushed into extreme poverty by 2021. Europe is not immune to this. Output has collapsed in 2020. Production has collapsed, and the recession has hit hard almost all, if not all, European countries. Some of them have been hit harder than others. Advanced economies in the European Union, like Italy, Spain, have witnessed double-digit contractions. Countries like Bulgaria has been luckier with a contraction of around 5.1%. But the setback is enormous in all areas, and particularly in depressed investment that is going to affect both human and capital accumulation. So what is next? Are we talking about sustainable recovery now? What are the risks that you were mentioning, Mr. Tolani? We do foresee a rebound of around 1.1% to 3.3%. And Bulgaria is one of those countries that actually will manage to reach this 3.3%, we think. But is this sustainable? Is it going to be sustained, actually? And this is where we have doubts. The pandemic is still hitting hard. The vaccination process, which is probably the critical thing that will allow us to get out of the recession, is still not in place. The process is very slow throughout Europe, but extremely slow in Bulgaria. So with these risks in mind, we need to think how we are going to get out of this deep recession. Are there resources to get out of the recession? Yes, there are. Politically, at the national level, fiscal policies have been quite expansive. Expansionary fiscal policies are helping countries in boosting the necessary protection to the most vulnerable, and also to boost investment again. And there are going to be also European resources for this. But the capacity to absorb these resources is going to be the critical element. We have lots of policies that we will be pushing, from the digitalization to boosting green growth, but the how and what the strategies are and what the implementing mechanisms are going to be the fundamental element we have to see now in these weeks to come. Three things before closing I would like to add. We need to think about strengthening governance and improving institutional quality. The quality of our institutions is going to be fundamental to yield growth dividends. The second one is structural bottlenecks. Without facing the structural reforms that are being constantly postponed, we will not get out of these recessions. And finally, boosting investment in human capital and the climate resilience, because these are the ones that, in addition to increasing growth, they are going to increase the living standards of our citizens. I will stop here and hope to get back to some of these topics.